Okay, we're going to look at the antique vehicles that originally started up Mount Washington, the first stages that used to go up. They used to go up in horse and buggies, and we're going to look at those horse and buggies and early vintage vehicles that started giving their tours on Mount Washington 143 years ago. Is this the first one that
This went up on opening day 143 years ago. That's the only day it ever went up. This was used in the valley to pick up people at the train station and bring them to the hotel.
Pierce Arrow, huh?
Yep, 1918 Pierce Arrow touring car. How you doing? How you doing? Good. If you have any questions, don't hesitate.
Put them on the screen because they're all awful dark.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been up the road before?
Yeah, I've been up there a few times.
Anybody else? Nope. You guys have? This down here is our Glen area. Gives the Glen House its name. Oh, this big field. There's all kinds of trails around here through the field and out into the woods here. We're gonna have a big bike race here. The 24 Hours of Great Glen is coming up next weekend. But the elevation down here at the Glen is about 1,565 feet. Up at the summit, we'll be reaching an elevation of 6,288 feet, which is actually the highest peak in the northeastern United States. That's east of the Mississippi, north of the Carolinas. So we'll travel about 4,700 vertical feet, close to a mile up to that spot. And on the way up, you'll notice that the trees do disappear right about 4,500 to 5,000 feet. This is actually one of the lowest tree lines you'll find anywhere in the world. The reason for this is basically Mount Washington's legacy. You guys ever heard the saying, home of the world's worst weather? That is what Mount Washington is known for. And the biggest part of that is the wind. It averages right about 35 miles an hour. It's day in, day out, all year long. So we do have a lot of days that are under that average. Today I think today we're pretty close to that average. It's gusting up to over 30, so we're right around the average. Over that big rocky ridge there. It's called Chandler Ridge. If you look closely, you might be able to see a few vehicles moving right across it right now. And then behind that, on the left, you can see the summit. You can actually see it through the clouds. That is the summit. It looks a little lower than the ridge because it's so much further away. Alright, so from here, you guys can see most of Mount Madison there on the right. Just the top is in the clouds. And then you see that little ridge, and that starts up again, and that's the slopes of Mount Adams. Can't quite see the summit of that either. These are the two northernmost presidentials. Adams is the second tallest in the range, and then Madison is fourth. They do go in order of precedence, so Jefferson is between them. We can't quite see that yet. Down here below us on the right is one of the most pristine areas in the whole White Mountain National Forest. This is a 5,500 acre expanse known as the Great Gulf Wilderness Area, and it's actually an old growth forest. There's never been any timber harvesting activity down there at all. You take a look, you notice a lot of dead trees. That's all part of the old growth cycle. Now, if you had gone up on top of Mount Washington 100 years ago, you would have found a lot of clear cuts, a lot of barren slopes. You know, it definitely was a lot different view than you do today. Now, we are entering what you would call the Krumholtz forest here. You can see the trees really taking on a different appearance. Now, Krumholtz is a German word, means crooked wood. You take a look at a lot of these trees. See, they're really having a hard time growing up at these elevations. Small bushy looking things with the leaves on them there are full-grown birch trees. The others are spruce and fir. Some are over 100 years old. Been up here for a long time. But now these are the Carter Moriah Mountains over here on the left. The same ones we saw down below. So kind of see how we're switchbacking up the side of the mountain here. And that is the Glen House down there below us on the left. At good eyes, you might be able to see your car down there. It's about 3,000 feet below us. This ridge over here is Mount Clay, right in front of us on the right. It's also been renamed to Mount Reagan. So pretty much all the peaks up here that weren't originally named after a president have been renamed to include a president's name to keep with that whole presidential theme. Mount Reagan was renamed last year by the New Hampshire State Legislature. Both names kind of live on. The visibility up here can get to be as low as 10 feet. I mean, it becomes very difficult to see in front of your vehicle, and it does happen. Now, on a day like that, if you were to get off the trail, you could see what you'd be walking on. These loose, jagged rocks here. Everything gets all wet, slippery. You know, it's very dangerous. And with that kind of weather, you know, it's cool, it's windy, it's wet. That's what we call hypothermia weather, and it has claimed quite a number of lives up here on Mount Washington. This is actually the second deadliest mountain in the world, behind only Mount Everest for hikers and climbers. So those Karens have gone a long ways towards helping to save people's lives up here on the mountain. And you can find them on all the trails above tree line in the White Mountain National Forest. Now if you take a look at these rocks here, you know, so now we're in the sun, you can see the rocks actually reflect back from the sunlight. These rocks are what's known as a mica schist. They have a lot of mica in them, gives them that shiny appearance. And that's actually where the name of the White Mountains came from. A lot of people would think it would be from the fog. Alright, now you guys can take a look down here on your right. Get a look at Spalding Lake. It's a very high elevation alpine lake. It's right down there at the bottom of the valley. That dark spot, you guys see that down there? Just kind of illustrates what a damp environment we have up here. It's about an acre in size.
Oh, right down there?
Yeah, you see that dark spot down there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got it.
It's the headwaters for the Cutler River. It actually freezes solid in the wintertime. This building right here in front of us is actually the place where the highest wind ever observed by man was recorded. Back in 1934, there was a pretty strong storm that blew through here and whipped up a peak gust of 231 miles an hour. Recorded right here in this building. You notice the building's actually chained to the ground. The men inside of the building said that the walls were flexing in and out about 8 inches, so if those chains hadn't been there, then it surely would have blown away. They had lost buildings before that.
It's kind of a windy day today up here on the mountain. And as we're in the fog, of course. Of course, I'm always in the fog anyhow.
Watch your ears.
Well, it's foggy as hell up here, so I'm not going to be able to get too much videos, as you can plainly see. It's windy and it's cold. These are the cog tracks here that we're looking at. Apparently this part of it's not used. It's got a walkway over it. We're going back to the stage now.